Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our producer, Jeff Durrell. We're at the Hayes Fire Department in one of the bays, and joining us is the Deputy Fire Chief for the City of Hayes from the Hayes Fire Department, Wendy Schumacher, who has how much longer now?
This is my last day.
Last day.
Yeah,
Today
tomorrow will be, actually tomorrow's my last day, but it's the city party for me at the CBV building tomorrow. So after I leave here today, I won't be back.
A little farewell for Wendy then for 39 years and 7 months.
That's correct.
Oh my goodness. So what's next for Wendy Schumacher?
Well, what's next for me? Spending time with my grandkids, take a little activity with that. Try to get back to doing some fishing and hunting that I used to do a long time ago and got away from.
Yeah. Wilson of a favorite spot?
Oh, yes. Yes, I got a son-in-law. I got my daughter and son-in-law live over there, and so...
And how many grandkids now? Have you kept track?
Oh, yes, I have 3.
Exactly. Oh, great. Well, that will be fun for sure. Wendy, when did you know it was time to move away to something else in life?
Well, Mike, it just got to a point where I just kind of got burned out. It was just something just saying, you know, enough's enough. And actually, I thought about a year ago about doing this, and I thought, nah, I can do another year. And some of my retired guys that I came up with when I first started, you know, they always said, you're going to know when you know. And they were really right. You know, something just hit me one day saying, you know, I think it's time.
So it was kind of a more of a non-gradual approach then. You just knew at one time. A lot of kids, Wendy, consider being a firefighter. They dream about it, maybe they plan for it, maybe they even consider it. So was that your situation?
Really, no, it wasn't. My situation really was, at that time, I was looking for a job. And a good friend of mine who worked here at that time saw me one day and said, they're hiring. And I said, really? So I applied and I got the job. And actually, the gentleman who hired me, the fire chief, I never did work for. His last day was my first day I came in. We worked a 10, 14-hour shift at that time. And I came in at 5 o'clock, and he was leaving at 5. So he hired me, but I never worked under him.
So what was it that kept you on the job then?
Actually, I think the work schedule, the way it was that we worked, it gave you a lot of free time. It was actually very good for me to be able to, when my family got a little older, and being able to go to their activities, and so it turned out to be really a good job, a good profession. Again, it was something I wasn't leaning towards, but I guess it must have been something if I stayed here 39 years.
And there is something too to this job. I think that you mentioned the brotherhood, the camaraderie with the guys that you work with.
That's true, there is. I mean, it's, I don't know if any other organization quite has that, and there might be, but you know, the brotherhood that you get between each fireman, it's special. They're always there for you, no matter what. I don't care if you have somebody that's been here 1 year, 3 years, 4 years. It's a bond that they had, and it's something the guys remember.
Tell us, if you would, about the training involved, Wendy.
Training, the guys do a lot of training. We, every week, Monday through Wednesday from 9 to 12, the guys are doing some type of training, whether it's hazmat, technical type, rescue type stuff. Whether it's firefighting, you know, different techniques, different things that we do. Actually, for a fireman to be fully, it takes about 4 years for a fireman to get everything he needs. You'll be a basic and advanced. Takes there, you got EMT, you got fire truck operations. So those are 4 different classes, 4 different things they have to take. So it takes about 4 years for one to be a...
It's not just putting out fires, is it? There's a whole lot more to it.
Right.
As far as helping people who might be impacted by fires or responding to emergency situations, traffic accidents, things like that.
Yeah. No, our guys, they really, we're kind of like an all-hazard type department. You got to know a little bit about everything. I mean, there's firefighting, there's hazmat, there's EMS, EMS is a big thing for us. It's something on medical calls we used to never do. We do now. I think we started that back in 2006. We got traffic crashes. We have airport training. Actually, we bring a prop in from University of Missouri that we have out here, and our guys train for 8 hours on that. So there's a lot of training our guys do.
And they've got to be ready for any kind of a situation, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Talk about, if you would, some of the dangerous aspects of the job, because obviously going into burning structures, those type of things are really something that most of us don't experience and wouldn't have any relevance to. But talk about some of the dangerous parts of the job.
Some of the stuff we have right now is any more of the houses that are being built, they're built with a lot of lightweight construction. Everything's really airtight. So things tend to burn faster than they used to. So we got to be careful with that. You know, we really need to do a lot of outside fighting first before we go to the interior to make sure it's safe before we go in. So there's some dangers with that.
Well, and it's like you mentioned, the hazmat situation, dangerous chemicals that you can encounter now that maybe you didn't in the past or weren't aware of in the past that you've got to be aware of.
Yeah,
now.
and there's a lot into that. You've got to really be trained up on that, and we have one of our officers who is very good at that, and we sent back to the National Fire Academy, and who's actually doing some training every month with that.
Talk about, too, the daily routine. When we think of firefighters, we think them on the scene in action, but there are a lot of things behind the scene. Tell us about some of those, Wendy.
Well, the daily routine for the firemen here is, you know, they come in at 7 o'clock, and they got daily routines they got to do. They got to go ahead and check the trucks over, make sure everything's ready to go there with that. And, you know, they got to clean the station and get that going. And then when that's done, roughly about 9 o'clock, they try to get out, and they're out in the community doing pre-plans, looking for anything there. We got inspections that our officers do, that we're looking for fire code issues and keeping the community safe and the business people safe. Other things we do too, and some people may have seen when they drive by, like just here this past month, we've had a lot of fire hose out in the Bay Area. And what they're doing is there's certain times of year that we have to run water through those hoses. And so we try to do a good job of trying to keep that all in the Bay Area and not trying to put it outside, especially with the water watch that we're in. We want the community to know that we're trying to do the best that we can to keep the water in here and not outside, showing that we're wasting it.
There are checks of the fire hydrants. There are safety inspections for businesses as well as homes. And I know one of the things that we really appreciated at our house was the smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector check and the installation that you guys do for those who need it.
Yes, we will go out. We will install smoke detectors. We'll install batteries. We'll change them for them. We actually have a program right now that we've got through the State Fire Marshal where we have some smoke detectors, and that's for people who are the elderly senior people or some who can't afford it. And so hopefully we can continue on that program there and keep those.
You know, Wendy, one of the things that is really fun is the trips to the fire station by the little ones and the in-class presentations that the guys do.
Yeah, they do a good job. Actually, we're hosting one right now. We have a preschool here that's doing a tour, and the kids just love it. They love to come down here. They like to get on the truck. Sometimes we'll let them squirt water. They love to go down the pole, which we don't really let them go. What we do is we hold them up there and let them come down a little ways like that, you know. So, yeah, they enjoy it. And then we show them a film upstairs, and they enjoy being here.
Well, the kid in his heart has been wanting for years to go down that fire pole, and there he is back there behind the camera.
Well, we can make that happen.
And you got to set the camera up to where you can see this in action for the tag on this program. So there you go. I got you an open invitation.
There you go.
So you owe me now. Jeff Durall, our producer, has been talking about that ever since we set this up with you.
Good.
He's wanted to go down that fire pole. I told him I'm not that ambitious, but he is willing to do it. Talk about, Wendy, if you would, a memory for you that was a spectacular or significant situation the fire department was involved in. I think it was 1981.
Yeah, I would say the elevator fire that we had back in June of 1981, that's probably one of the biggest fires that Hayes has had. And we were lucky that day. You know, I want to say we were very good at what we were doing, but you know, you got to have some luck in that. I mean, we had temperatures that day of 100 degrees. We had winds of 30 to 35. And actually that day we had several roof fires, small ones down in the business area, and actually one as far as on 17th Street. And we had county rural fire departments along with Russell, Gorham, and Hayes. They took care of stuff like that for us while we were actually doing the firefighting on the elevator.
That's something I'm glad you mentioned, because there is a real community effort involved with firefighting, isn't there?
Yes, yes. I mean, our communities, our brothers to the west and east of us, I mean, when we need them, they're there for us, and they'll come, and we'll do the same thing for them, you know.
That elevator fire had to be a situation that really put some pressure on equipment and people. Talk a little about that.
Well, actually that day we did, there was a lot of stress under that, you know, because, you know, we had fire coming out on the, if I remember right, on the south side of the elevator by the railroad tracks, you know, setting up the deluge guns, setting up all the big hoses that we had to do. Actually that day we were also, we had, I just remember we had a unit down by, it used to be called the Hartman Lumber Company.
Yeah.
And we had a truck down there just putting water on the wood.
As a protective measure.
As a protection, because it was that close to the fire.
Wow. Well, and for the size of the elevators involved and the dangerous situations, as folks know, you know, grain dust and things like that can be a real hazard and a problem with explosions. So really a lot of issues to be concerned about.
A lot of issues could have happened, yeah, a lot of issues could have happened that day. And actually after that was done, the old flour mill, as you remember, that was there. After several years after that, they decided to tear that down because they were afraid of the same issue that could possibly happen what we had with the elevator.
Got a couple of minutes left, Wendy. Talk, if you would, to young people, and any advice for them, for those that might want to consider that dream or that ambition of becoming a firefighter?
I would tell them it's a great profession, it's a good career, and it's also the brotherhood that you have within the department with the men. It's just something special that I just don't think any other organization has.
Well, we appreciate your time and sitting down with us. We wish you the best in retirement and a lot of fun with the grandkids and on the lake at Wilson and fishing and all of the things involved in retirement. And finally, to the guys who work with you, the people you work for, thanks very much for keeping us a safe city, and the great work, the efforts of the volunteers of the Hayes Fire Department and the jobs they do. We really appreciate that as citizens.
Well,
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Wendy Shoemaker, Deputy Fire Chief, sort of for the last few minutes anyway. Today, our Community Connection. Thanks for watching.